Hi, hello, good morning. It is the 2nd of April, 2026. And as I've been talking about homelessness, I've been talking about what it's like living in a property that you don't own. And myself, obviously, I rented the same house for 10 years. And yesterday, I gave the landlord back the keys. And they said to me straight away, we're happy with the house and we're going to make sure you get your deposit back. And I know there are so many people out there that are saying they haven't been able to get their deposits back from the deposit protection scheme or agency that their deposit is with. That is not true. It is not up to your landlord, and it is not up to the estate agent or housing association or whoever you are renting that house off to refuse you your deposit. If your landlord or estate agent, if it's a managed tenancy, do not want you to have your full deposit back, they have to tell the deposit protection agency scheme why. So on my screen, obviously because of data protection, I've not included everything on there. It clearly says repayment in progress, waiting tenant's response. So prior to this, there was a button I had to press because I was the tenant. I had to say that my details were correct. And what has actually happened over a decade of my deposit being protected, I've actually incurred interest of £13.40. Now, because I'm under the Department of Work and Pensions, I'm not going to keep this money. What the deposit protection scheme that I'm under will do is they will give me the option to donate that money to a homeless charity. And I've clicked on the link just to check, and it goes to the homeless charity that they donate to. Now, there are a number of different homeless charities around the country. The most popular one that people may be aware of is Shelter. There may be small independent ones in your local town, city or county, wherever you live. And then there'll be others that maybe are not as well known. I've never heard of this one, but apparently this is theirs that they support. And it has all the information and statistics. So again, I will share this information. I mean, literally, you can see that the figures are changing. People supported through our criminal justice service, and read our latest annual review. So what I am now going to do is I am going to donate that money. And it has come up and said, thank you for choosing to donate your interest to that charity. It then clearly states your landlord has asked us to return your full deposit to you. We will pay into the bank account that you specify below. Right, so then I click on here and you can clearly see that it will say no deductions. And when people are saying, a deposit isn't a lot of money, mine was £700, okay? And my next door neighbours, theirs was less because they had rented their houses at a different time to me. And new rules and regulations came in. But because of when I rented the property, I never received any refunds or deduction in the amount of deposit that I had already paid out. And I'm not going to click down any further because it's probably going to have my bank account details and I don't want people to know those. But if there was an issue with your deposit, it would be on this page. It would say something like maybe there has been deductions, do you agree? And then there'll be a process that you then have to follow. As I've been quite lucky and I haven't had to go through this process, I'm not able to explain that process and how it works to anyone. But I am doing this video to show people that, yes, you can get your deposit back, and therefore make sure you do, okay? It's your money. It's not your landlord's. It's not the estate agent's. It's not the housing association or anyone else that you may have had a deposit protection scheme in place with for renting a property, whether that's commercial, residential, you can get it back. And it clearly says on here that there has been no deductions. And believe you and me, with the amount of time money and effort that I put in to make sure that that property was emptied and pretty much back into the condition it was when I first moved in. Bearing in mind, you know, it's got subsidence, it's got cracks in the walls, it's got black mold under the stairs, under the stairs has collapsed, the boiler in the kitchen has left the whole kitchen looking like shit. The landlord did nothing to the property until environmental health got involved. And even then, the quality and service of what they produced was absolute crap. You know, the bathroom leaked, the bathroom flooded. There is clear evidence, marks of burst pipes all over the property. And my biggest worry was that they were going to be total bastards. And they were going to say, no, we're not going to give you back your deposit because we need that money to pay for the damages in our house. And they haven't. So they've really shocked me that when it come down to, you know, will I or won't I get my deposit back? They said they would, and they have. But that does not mean that my case with the council and the way I was treated whilst on environmental health is going to close. I am going to go forward with the Financial Housing Ombudsman about this, because regardless of what the council may or may not believe was a fit place to live for a person, there is no way that I or my children should have been living in that property for as long as we had, when there started to be black mold in the bedrooms, there started to be burst pipes, the toilet wasn't working, the shower wasn't working, the bathroom could not be used for what it was designed for. The kitchen was, you couldn't even cook in the kitchen. I was constantly having to order takeout, and I had to just shut the door and not use the kitchen for 6 months. And the fact that I never even had a valid gas safety certificate or an electrical safety certificate on the property. These things do need to be brought to people's attention. And if anyone needs to be prosecuted, then I hope that the right action is taken for this to happen. But at the same time, I am hoping that they're going to do what they said, and that is put that house on the market, and that they're not just going to rent it back out again and try and hike up the price to £1,000 a month. But I don't live there anymore. So all I can do is just see what happens. But the main thing I am absolutely happy about is I have got my deposit back. So now that I have done that, now that I've got this back, I'm hoping to close that chapter on my life once I've obviously done my complaint to the Financial Housing Ombudsman. And me and my children, now that I have been rehoused, I was very, very, very lucky, all right? There's still people out there who aren't, that we can just start a new life in a new home and hopefully not have the same problems as we've had over the last 10 years of trying to find somewhere new to live, and whilst doing so, having to live in a house that was just basically a death trap. Thank you.